Welcome. I'm here with Lorna Whiteaker, who has an extraordinary gift for turning complex financial concepts into simple, actionable steps so that business owners can start, run, and grow their businesses with confidence. Lorna is a business consultant and financial skills trainer with more than 30 years of experience. She's worked with entrepreneurs who have just started out on their journey to the business owner who has built a six-figure business only to discover that their systems and financial frameworks no longer support their money management needs. Welcome, Lorna. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share something that I'm really passionate about. Women should have their own money. So I'm really happy to be able to share with your audience these things that they can be doing to help themselves be stronger business women.
I so agree, and this is such an important topic. So let's start out with, what is the first step a business owner should take to set themselves up financially? Because I know that many women jump straight into the excitement of their business, but they don't often pause to calculate what they actually need the business to provide.
This is such a great question. So the thing is that they need a target. They need to have a goal. And so that piece of clarity is so powerful. It actually allowed me to triple my revenue my second year in business simply by setting a goal. And when I first looked at it, I went, how would I go about doing that? In my career, I was great at strategies. I have a really good sense for that. And I said, well, what would be the strategy? So I said, well, how much money do I actually need to start with? And this is called a financial floor. So your personal life has a personal financial floor, and your business has a financial floor as well. So that's your business financial floor. So you're going to look at your personal life and you're going to say, what do I need to keep a roof over my head, to keep gas in the car, to pay my insurance, buy my clothes, okay, buy a bit of jewelry, a bit of bling, what do I need there? So you add those numbers up. So that's the first one, what is my financial floor? And then you look at your business. Now, if you've been in business for a little while, you can actually look at what you've been spending on your business, and you can say, that's my financial floor. Now, I know that a lot of early stage business owners are not effectively tracking their data, and we'll hopefully talk about that. But what would I do if I don't have that information at my fingertips, or I'm just brand new into business? Look at your bank statements, look at your credit card statements, pull that information. So for some people it's overwhelming. Just carve out a little bit of quiet time and sit down and say, I've got my bank statements, I've got my credit card statements, I'm going to look what I need for myself. People know more about their personal lives finances and their business finances than they give themselves credit for. So that's the first step. Let's find out what our financial floor is. So now we have those two numbers. You add those two numbers together. Now, that number is now the net number for your business. So we start and we say, okay, I need those two numbers to support my business. I need the cost of my business and I need my personal financial floor, because that's how much revenue I need to bring in. Now I have that number. It's a fantastic number. So first you take that number and then you will divide it by 12. That gives you how much money you need to bring in every month. I will tell you with absolute certainty, if you try to live by a monthly number or an annual number, it'll bog you down because it feels so heavy for you. So instead, turn it into a weekly number if that applies to the way you run your business. When I started my business and tripled my income, what I did is I turned it into a daily number. I said, well, I want to work 4 days a week, okay? And I'm going to work, let's say, 5 hours a day or 6 hours a day. So I divided my number first by 52, and then I divided it by the number of days I was going to work, and then I divided it by the number of hours I was going to work. Now I had my hourly rate. This is really important for business owners who have a service of where they're providing it and they're getting paid by the hour, or they're calculating how they're going to get paid or how many customers they're going to need. These are very simple math formulas, okay? So we just say, okay, I need this amount of money. Oh, okay. Now I'll tell you that in the beginning, I had my daily number. I consistently did not hit my number. I had to learn how to hit it. That was super powerful. Over the years, I just changed my number. Every year, I assess where I'm going for the year. I redetermine my new numbers based on what my changes have been for my life personally and for my business. And now I have a new target number. And you learn how to hit that number consistently. And you can change that number at any time. Learning how to hit the number and what it takes and how many customers it takes and how many hours it takes is really important. Your number should be a stretch. So if you're going to have a life you love and have a business you love, you need more money than just your financial floor. You need money to go on vacation. You need money to save for emergencies. You need money to build your financial future and freedom. So you're going to build those numbers in, and you're going to move forward step by step, and you're going to learn as you go, and you're going to stretch yourself. And for me, that is one of the most important things that any business owner can do for them, is to set a target early on, reassess, redesign your business, and set new targets.
No, that is so powerful advice, because if you don't know where you're going, then you can't make a plan. And I've been in sales, as you know, for so long. And in sales, we have to do the same thing, because if you don't know what your close ratio is, if you don't know what target, how many customers you need that month, then you don't know how many you have to call on, because you're not going to be at a one-to-one. And chances are you also may even need a buffer in your financial target, even your floor target. I'm imagining it would be a good idea to possibly build in a buffer just in case inflation, unexpected costs, that sort of thing as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. So the Small Business Administration does a lot of statistics taking, data collection. And one of the things that they know is that a business who does not achieve certain financial targets within 24 months is going to run out of money. Whatever those targets is, whether you're starting at 0 or whether you're starting at 2.5 million, it doesn't matter. If you've set a financial target and you know that you have to achieve that target to support financial floors, well, if you don't do it in 24 months, you're not going to do well at all. And what I recommend for people to do is to set smaller windows. So my target is here. I'm going to achieve it in 9 months to 18 months. And it's really fascinating to me, because I'm kind of a numbers gal, what begins to happen when we have those targets and people see progress in easily 90 days. Anything can be accomplished in 90 days. So you just kind of go, oh, I'm going to grow and here. And one other tip that I would say to this is that national averages, businesses grow about 7% without doing much, okay? Growth of your business by 15% or 25% is completely doable and achievable, and you can build that number into your plan. And I really encourage people to say, in 9 months, I'm going to create 25% growth, and I'm going to learn how to hit that target. I don't have to know how, okay? I'm going to learn how.
All you have to do is ask the right questions, and you'll find them. You'll find the answers, right?
You'll find the answer. You will.
So, Lorna, I apologize, and Marianne, we're just going to edit that because I don't want that in there. So, Another edit. All right. So Lorna, taxes can feel really overwhelming for new entrepreneurs. What's the one thing that really scares most business owners when it comes to taxes, and what should they know so that they can reduce that fear?
Well, it's what they don't know that scares them. And so they don't always know how to find out. It feels really overwhelming for them. So there are multiple taxing agencies. So they're different governing agencies to which you pay taxes, and it varies by state. So if you sell a product, okay, you're going to have sales tax. So go to your sales taxing agency, read up on it, ask someone who's already paying sales taxes. What are the rules? Call the agency themselves, because in California, these agencies, they're happy to answer your questions and to give you some guidance and help you get the account set up. And so you can actually do a little Google search and ask, what is it? What do I need to know about it? But it's a process of learning. That's all it is. So you're going to have sales taxes if you sell a product, and you just need to know what that is for your state and what the rules are. And then that one makes that easy. When is it due? How much do you need to collect? Who do you pay? Those are the questions. Great. That one is probably the least scary for most business owners because there are other people that they know to ask. The payroll taxes, that one only happens when you have a payroll. Now, the best advice that I can give you about payroll taxes is to pay them immediately. When you run your payroll, go ahead and pay the taxes. The best thing for today's business owners is to use a third-party service. There's a couple that I really like. I like Gusto and I like SurePayroll. Paychex is another really good one. But don't try to learn how to do payroll taxes and say that I need to know how to do that. Hire a good bookkeeper that knows how to do it. Get a third-party service. The reason I like third-party services is that they'll set up the direct deposit for your employees so you can pay them on time every time. They pull over all of the financial needs to pay all of the taxes, all of the withholdings. They will pay they'll pull over the employer's share of taxes, and then they will pay them to the governing agencies on time. And then they'll run all the reports on time. There are penalties for filing the reports late. And trying to remember to doing all of this when we're already wearing 30 hats, okay, is really unnecessary in today's world because we can find people to do it for us. So payroll taxes, that's a really big one that scares people, and it should. The government is very unyielding when you fail to pay your withholdings from your employees because you've withheld it from their paycheck. You're obligated to pay it to the governing agencies. And so you've got the federal government, you have the EDD, you have Social Security, all of those places have to be paid. So let a third-party service do it for you. That makes it just a walk in the park, and all you have to do is verify their hours, verify the payroll on time, and they handle everything else. So that has been the
fees are pretty reasonable too.
Oh, the fees are incredibly reasonable. Incredibly reasonable. It's going to be, for most business owners, it's going to start out at less than $50 a month. And they'll help you with all of it. There are people you can talk to so that you can get it all set up right. I love these services. They have been so helpful. The income taxes is a bigger blur for people, and it does vary whether you're a sole proprietor, okay, and you're going to pay self-employment taxes, and self-employment taxes are the monies that you're going to pay for Medicare and Social Security, okay, and that's going to be roughly 15% of your net income. So net income, for those who may not be familiar, you have your revenue, less your cost of goods, less your expenses. Your net number is your taxable number if you're a sole proprietor. that's a fictitious business name or just an individual doing business, that is 15% minimum. Set that money aside. Make estimated taxes based on that, okay? Because a big tax bill at the end of the year is upsetting. You may not have the money. And remember to plan for that. When you're doing your personal financial floor, okay, you need to be planning 15% of your net income as part of what you're going to have to pay, because it may not be reflected anyplace else. And I find that this is probably the biggest misunderstanding about what that is. Self-employment tax is not the same as income tax. Income tax is based on earnings. So you have another tax on top of your self-employment tax. Okay. Now, there are some more complexities for corporations, but basically the advantage is that a corporation doesn't have self-employment tax and they can pay themselves through a payroll feature. So it's a really great thing. And I really encourage people to understand the timing of when it's good to become a corporation or an LLC, what that might look like for them. Talk to a tax professional, hire a consultant, get help with this conversation so that you can plan, because that upset, that fear actually has a nasty little side effect. When you become afraid of your taxes, you start playing small. You start going, I'm scared, I'm not going to make more money. Well, if you're getting taxed, you're making money. So embrace owing taxes. It still doesn't feel very good, but I'm not a fan of going out and actually paying money to have my roads built. So I go, okay, I'm building roads. I'm paying taxes. So get educated on it, learn, it's all learned. There are people out there to help you. And I think the one really important tip, if you get what I call hate mail from the IRS, the franchise tax boards, from sales tax, respond to them. If you don't know how to respond, call them. But most of those letters are very clear and straightforward. And for the newer entrepreneur, the IRS, franchise tax board, sales tax people, they don't call you. They don't email you. They don't text you. This is almost always fraud and spam and people phishing to take your money. So know that you don't respond to them. You never provide confidential information to them. But if you get mail, respond to it. Get help if you don't know how to, but they're usually very kind to people. They're not looking to hurt you. They're just letting you know that something has happened that needs your attention.
Oh, thank you so much for that wonderful advice. I do have a follow-up question on the sales tax. I know we talked about products, but let's talk about services or consulting or like some sort of group coaching, those type of things. And if they're not a physical product, a lot of people get confused on the sales tax around that. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So in most states, okay, they do not charge for services. So what you do is you would say, they'll ask you, what's your total revenue in our state? You'll say this number. And then they'll say, how much of that was provided for services? This number. And then it'll say, did you sell it out of state? Did you have product? And so if you have no product, okay, that's delivered tangibly, touch, okay, a physical product. If you're not doing that, chances are you will not even need to create a sales tax account. So the only time you need a sales tax account is if you have some kind of a tangible product. Now, electronic products, people who do photography and some of those other things, that's a little trickier. So you have to find out from your state whether they tax on electronic products delivered. Typically, the answer is no. They do not charge for electronic products. Photography is different because it's going to be maybe turned into a physical product. And that can get really pricey if they do a photography session. The whole price of the photography session is taxable for sales tax. So for those people that are in photography or art or some of these other things where they're delivering a tangible product, they need to do a little more research, both locally, because there can be local taxes on it, and there can also be, and probably are going to be, sales taxes. And so you go to your state and you look for their publication and you read what those things are. And what I found really interesting, I worked for a company that sold cinnamon rolls. And if they came in and they bought the cinnamon roll and they didn't have it heated, it was treated as food, so no sales tax. But if they warmed it up, then it was a taxable event. So to that, I say, find out from your sales tax governing entity what applies to your business. Services are not taxed ordinarily. Products of any other kind, electronic or physical, could be and frequently are starting to be. And you have to stay up to date with that on a regular basis. Okay, just know the rules. This is a skill that is learned, and I encourage all entrepreneurs to learn this basic skill and just keep up to date. And the sales tax people will help you with that.
Yes, and it's wonderful. I love that you encourage everybody to just make that call and not be scared about it. And if you don't understand what they're saying, then get with a professional, much like yourself, right? To help interpret and explain what's needed. And the most important thing is to, even though we're so busy and there's so many things on our plate, it is important to handle and not to ignore, because if you ignore it, then you will start feeling guilty. You will start behaving differently, and as Lorna, as you said, you'll start playing small as well.
Yeah. Fear is very limiting.
It is.
Fear is very limiting, and please, people should not feel shame about this. They should not feel shame about not knowing. They should not feel shame about not doing it sooner. Okay? They should just go, oh, well, drat. Okay, yeah, I knew I should have taken care of it. Most of the penalties and fines are small if you get out in front of it. Okay? So that's really important to know. Just forgive yourself. Make the phone call. You can call anonymously. It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to tell them anything about who you are and your business. You just ask your questions and then figure out how you're going to best approach resolving the issue.
Exactly. And this brings up a great point, because for women, we're often told that we're not good at math or that we're not good at business. Mm-hmm. So we really have to flip that script and change the way we're looking at it. And from your perspective as a financial coach, what is the single most important thing that a business owner needs to understand about their numbers?
Okay, so we have to know our numbers. So one of the things that I find, even with experienced business owners, that they never receive any of the training that is required. So first, you have to track your numbers. Bookkeeping is very important. And today's business owners are simply not going to be able to do it with pen and pencil unless you're playing small. You're not going to run $100,000, $200,000, $1 million business without bookkeeping. You're either going to do the bookkeeping yourself or you're going to hire help. Okay? However, even when hiring help, you have got to be able to read and know and understand your numbers. What does the profit and loss statement tell us? If you don't know what that is, learn it. A lot of business owners are not encouraged to understand the balance sheet. So the balance sheet tracks your assets, your liabilities, and your equity. And a lot of CPAs don't encourage business owners, and women in particular, to learn how to read this. This is one of the things that I train all the time on. And I've worked with very experienced business owners that had never been told, look at your balance sheet, learn what it tells you and what's important. Okay. There are just pieces of it that you want to look at on a regular basis, but you should be looking at those reports at least once a month. And once a year, you should do an assessment. How did I do? Did I have issues? Can I make more money? What area of my business needs shoring up? And one of the things you talked about, with marketing and sales, if your revenue is not where it needs to be, that means the money that you're making for the services or products that you sell, okay, then it's within the marketing and the sales arena. There's only so much you can do in cutting expenses, because a lot of your expenses, and most of them, should be a requirement for running your business. Those things, your insurance, your taxes, your internet, all of those things, employees, all of that's going to be important. You're not going to be able to cut those and still make good money. So you want to be able to at least look at those and understand them. And the thing that I find about money for businesses is that inability to pay attention to the numbers and track them because we fear that we're not good at math or we don't understand them really hurts us. Our numbers are not limits. They're really just stepping stones to your financial freedom, to your future. And so don't be afraid of them, okay? And again, this is an area where I find a lot of shame lurking in the background. They're going, well, I should have learned this before. How? There's almost nobody teaching it. There's this assumption that everybody else knows it. They don't. I've literally presented more than 1,000 workshops on financial matters, live and online, okay? Trained tens of thousands of business owners, and they flock to these workshops because they realize they don't know this stuff, or they're uncertain about a certain piece. Most people know what income is, okay? Most people don't know what cost of goods are. And almost nobody understands equity. Okay, so let's get informed. Once you know it, you know it. So the truth about business financials is all pretty much based on basic math, the stuff that we learned in elementary school. And it can get more complex as your numbers get bigger. The thing is you will have grown into that. You will have grown into those skills because you started, it's like learning to read, learning to ride a bike. We need some help. We get started, and pretty soon we're doing wheelies down the stairs. Not me, but I've seen boys do it. So, the one tip is that the first law of profitability is to make more than you spend. If you're not tracking your numbers, you won't know until you feel it. Don't wait that long. Okay, cash flow is king. Your numbers are his queen.
And I can imagine, Lorna, with the way we can learn today, and there's so much online, and then even with AI, that asking questions and asking those right questions, and just taking, even if it's just 15 minutes a week, to spend on our financial future, making sure that we understand the numbers in our business and that we understand, what the balance sheet is and some of those more important things. Just taking a small bite every week makes a big difference, correct?
It does. Absolutely. People think it takes a lot of time, and it doesn't. Okay, you do have to learn the basics, and then you want to at least make a plan. I encourage people to put it on their calendar. Okay, whether they're doing their own bookkeeping or whether they're hiring it out, their books should be kept up to date and kept current at least once a month. Spend that 15 minutes. If you're doing your own bookkeeping, spend that 15 minutes to a half an hour doing your books. Learn as you go, learn as you grow. And this makes a huge difference for the results that you're able to get. It just, in ways that is really hard for people to understand when they first hear it. It will improve their lives immensely. And one of the things that I find is that if we look too far down the road, we struggle to see where we're going. That's why doing that financial floor and getting a weekly target or a monthly target allows us to look at it more closely and measure it for a way that is relevant to us and our circumstances. So it's just a learned skill, and it's not hard to learn. People believe that it's harder than it is, and that's one of the lies that is out there. Oh, you can't do that. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can. Anybody can. Okay? Anybody can, because if you can do 2 plus 2 equals 4, and 10 minus 4 is 6. And you need a 6 and not a 4, well, you'll know that. You'll know that. You'll go, oh, I didn't hit my number. Okay, I'm going to have to do something better. Where's the problem? For most people, it's in either making the sale, okay, which is a learned skill. It's in their marketing. You're either going to do it yourself or you're going to hire it out, but it's got to be done. So these skills are so important for women, for our financial freedom and future.
They definitely are. And there's a lot of talk these days about the energy of money. So from your experience, how do our beliefs about money influence our results? And how can business owners align their mindset with the financial systems and structures that they actually need?
Awesome. Thank you for asking the question. So, it's really easy to make and have money when you know how things work. Okay, so our belief systems run everything. If you believe that making money is hard, making money is going to be hard. If you believe that you are strong enough, smart enough, capable enough to make money, all of a sudden you're going to find that making money is easy. Now, one of the things that I was taught growing up is that if I had the right business systems, the right structures, the right skills, that was all I was ever going to need. Now, you can run a powerful business with those things. But what I have discovered is that that's kind of an old school, older traditional way of running a business. They completely missed that it's simply not enough. If today's business owners believe that there's something wrong with making money, those systems will not help them. They will end up on a roller coaster ride, okay? Because they'll work hard to make money and then they'll actually interfere with themselves in making forward progress, whether it's guilt or something like that. And there's really old lies. And when I say they're old, they're thousands of years old. And that we've been told that there's something wrong with people that make money. There's something bad about people that make money, or that making money is hard. And so I tell people, you know what? Why don't you just check in with what your core values are? And there's lists out on the internet. You can go and pull them down, and you can go, well, this is kind of true for me, or this is not true for me. But look to see what your core values are around money. Okay? And I tell people one of the easiest ways to find out what your core value, your really deep core value is look at someone that seems to be making money. Someone who looks, let's say, a woman who looks polished or has a nice car or dresses well. What do you think about her? Did you pass a judgment on her? You have a core values hiding, lurking in the shadows that's going to interfere with your future. If you like spending money, enjoy spending money, whether you enjoy spending it on yourself or spending it on others. Being broke is hard. All right. It's no fun at all. Worrying all the time about where you're going to get the money to fix the car, or put new tires on, or buy the kids clothes for school. That's a terrible place to be. Step out of that place and do the work to find out what core values you might have that might be interfering with you. And just know that you got to choose your heart. And if you're experiencing a roller coaster ride with making money, you may have a core value that's in your way. So I really encourage you to, just take a look at that, and check that negative energy at the door. Just get rid of it. But it may take some work because your perceptions came from very early in your life, probably before you were 8. So go out there, make money, make a difference, and have a wonderful life. But check into that. The energy of money is 50% of your success equation.
Yeah, I believe that. And watch your language, because your language will tell you your money story as well. Oftentimes when I work with clients, a recent client I was working with is doing this work because they want to make an impact. She wants to make a big impact. As most of the women at our age who are still having careers or starting new businesses, we're doing it because of the impact. We're not necessarily doing it for the money. But that's what she kept telling me over and over. I don't need the money. I don't need the money. I don't need, And what I had explained to her is shifting that is so important, because she needs to focus more on the impact and quit saying, I don't need the money, and instead focus on where she wants to make an impact with that money. She may not need it for her financial floor, right? That she may not need it there. But just imagine how many people she can now help once she's earning extra money. Because not only can we help with our gifts or our services, but we can also help, with money. There's lots of things and a lot of people and different things that need our assistance throughout the world. So if we don't want it, just focus on where we can share it and where we can make a bigger impact because of it. Don't let it
Absolutely.
limit us.
I love that. So what is our purpose?
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of women, their purpose may be to bring revenue into their household, to, for themselves, for their children, for their family. When we make more money, we can be more generous. We can have more time to make a bigger impact. Maybe what you need is the money to create that impact, because you're going to need systems and structures to get the word out to reach that audience. And then that's really important. One of my first clients, that was her big thing. She wanted to make an impact, and she was a teacher. She'd been unhappy. She had developed a program called Brain Gym, which I'll use movement-based learning for children with very involved physical disabilities, brain injury typically. And she's like, well, I can only work with 7 people at a time. And she felt really compressed and very small. And I said, well, I know you can do more. And so what we did is we developed some strategies to move her forward. And her biggest audience was 250 people. She was published in a dozen languages and presented her trainings in 10 different countries. all over the world. She became an international teacher, and she spent, the rest of her entire life, and was about 25 years doing something that she cared greatly about. She needed money for travel. She needed money for the hotels. She needed money to publish her books. She needed money to have them translated. She needed money, to keep food on her table. There was a lot of money in there. One of the things she had to learn to do was to learn how to be paid appropriately for what she was doing, so that she could make the impact on hundreds of thousands of people overall, because she trained trainers.
Wow.
It's super important to make that happen.
Such a powerful financial shift. And if you think about women in their first 1 to 3 years of business, what are the 3 biggest financial mistakes they make, and how can they avoid them?
I think that the first one would be the biggest financial mistake would be to say that they can't learn it, that they're not able to, that can't word. Well, I can't learn this. I can't learn to do this. I'm no good at money. I'm no good at my business. They keep injuring themselves with this limiting belief that prevents them from being all that they can be. And I think that that's probably the biggest mistake that they make. They, again, learned it early on. They were told it. I'm going to tell you right now, I've had CPAs interfere with my trainings and tell my female clients not to worry about it. And then the following year, this client got hit with a big tax and goes, oh, well, you should have done this and that. She came back to me. She said, I was so angry because you had already told me a year ago this was the path. And he told me not to do it. And I followed your teachings, and I should have done what you told me to do, because it's cost me $50,000. And I went, yeah, I'm really sorry about this. She says, it won't ever happen again. And so the thing is that trust your instincts, trust your own knowing, trust yourself, and really learn how to step away from the lies about what's possibility. There's no limit to possibilities, none whatsoever. Okay? So it's really important for us to be bold and to step away from the known and to embrace what's possible. So that would be probably the first one. The second one would be to allow shame or fear to keep us from looking at the numbers and knowing our numbers. It's merely information. It's just a measuring stick, okay? If I need to know how much gas I need, I look at my gas gauge. It's that simple. Do I have enough gas? How did I do? We've got all sorts of measures to help us with gas and with life and everything. So don't be afraid to look at your numbers. You don't have to like what you see, okay? But you do have to look. So
we
that would be
the number, but we have to look at the number.
We don't have to like it. We don't have to like it. The thing is that we do have to look at it. So I'm going to say that not knowing your numbers is a huge financial mistake. So that's a really critical piece. So don't let what you're feeling inside keep you from doing what's smart and what's best for you and for your future. Look at your numbers. Look at them. And if you don't like what's happening, figure out why it's happening. And one of the things I talk about, clarity, okay, focus, action, is the trifecta for getting results. Whatever results it is that you want, that's going to happen. And I would like those business owners to know that you know more about your business and what you want than you're giving yourself credit for. I did a lovely workshop with women one day, and I said, what are you feeling? What's the biggest problem for you? And they kept stepping up and going, uncertainty. I'm unsure about this. I'm unsure about that. I'm unsure about something else. And if I asked them the question, I said, well, what's bothering you? And they would say, well, I'm not making enough money. And I went, that's clarity. You just nailed it. Okay. Well, I don't know what I'm going to pay in taxes. That's clarity. Okay. What's bothering you? Identify what's bothering you, and that's important. Don't dismiss it. Address it. Do something with it. So a failure to take action on something that's bothering you, okay, is another mistake. So since we're talking about the financials, is like if you're looking at your business and you feel like something is wrong, use your numbers to help you assess where the problem is and then do something about it. But do trust your instincts. Trust yourself. Really allow yourself to, that level of grace to say, okay, I'm going to just check in with me. What am I feeling? What's bothering me? And then I'm going to address that. It's either real or it's not.
Oh, what great advice to finish on. And I know you have something very special for those watching today, for our listeners. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how they can get it?
Awesome. So I wrote a little ebook for people called The Entrepreneur's Path to Financial Freedom. And it talks about the energetic pieces. I want you to know that how important those are and give people a chance to kind of look into that, because financial freedom is created out of your belief systems as much as it is out of the systems and structures that support a business, on the planet. You're going to have both pieces. So I really wanted them to have a chance to look into the energetic side of what it takes to run a business, because that's still a big missing piece in today's conversation with business owners. They're getting lots of support on the systems and structures, but that energetic side is being dismissed as woo-woo. And it's not.
It's not. Like you said, it's 50% or even more. As we know, my studies of the brain, and when we're thinking something, it will activate the reticular activating system. Mm-hmm. When it does that, that is what tells us to start looking for different things. So if we believe that we're capable, then we're going to believe that we can find the answers. We're going to find the answers. We're going to ask the right questions. Mm-hmm. If we believe we're not capable, we're not going to ask the right questions. We're going to go in within ourselves, and we're going to ignore so much. And as you've pointed out so brilliantly today, we can't ignore this subject. We can't ignore our taxes. We can't ignore our finances. We need to know what is going on. And it's not that difficult. And if we do get stuck, all we have to do is ask. So Thank you for that message, Lorna. Really,
my pleasure.
Appreciate you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I really love being able to share this powerful message with people. We can do this, okay? None of us were born knowing this stuff. It's all stuff we need to know. And guess what? We can all learn it.
We can. And thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.